Welcome to the first episode of the new series Deep Dive. In this cybersecurity vlog, I will share my analysis on main attacks and relevant news. Let's start.
This week we got news about White House official announcement about the 8 telecom compromise. Due to that, the recommendation was broadcasted to use fully encrypted communications. Leaving on the side the recommendation, I did decide to look at the big telco picture. Nowadays, we get bombarded by cybersecurity incidents and we miss to connect the dots. This deep dive episode was designed to look at the overall worldwide telco situation, but let's start in order, looking at what the official communication completely missed. What does have a SIM card? Sounds like a silly question, but at the end of the day, all focus was on mobile communication, but a compromise potentially impact all SIM cards. Let's explore that first. A lot of branch offices uses backup lines, for example in retailer sector, in shops, by 4G or 5G routers. SD-WAN can now offer connectivity by 5G routing. Same stuff is happening with a lot of IoT devices using SIM to have connectivity, but I leave as the last category, a big security concern. Each vehicles, like cars, van and trucks are equipped with a SIM. That means a lot of attack surface, considering what it means to connect to a car by the SIM. I didn't find any mention across internet articles and comments. If you consider, each category I mentioned, goes from corporate to manufacturing, to all automotive industry. Something to consider. Now that we walk through the impact, is this one an event impacting only United States? Now let's see the data I analyzed. Thought right to give a quick visual map before to throw at you the data. We have 18 countries impacted, in 2024. You can see the potential for a bigger operation, and if you analyze the data, you will see how multiple countries got infected and attacked by the same groups. Let's dive in the data. If you look at the ransomware as a service platform, you will see how many similitude you have across the countries, and you could start to concern, is each criminal SaaS sharing with each other the assets and data? An integration by API, across criminal groups could be a potential concern, but what is the main issue in telco, in country, for example running as routine registration of conversations? Nobody will have a clear answer, but if we add the sprint that these attacks against telco took in 2024, the overall picture is worrisome. Now, let's zoom in into the complex reality of the old and new technologies adopted in telco. If we mention signaling system number 7 to a cybersecurity professional, we know how this protocol wasn't designed with security in mind. The strange fact is how the overall national security concern isn't pushing new alternatives to be the default requirement. Why user should be suggested to use WhatsApp, with all concerns that comes from that suggestion, but a telco isn't having a mandatory requirement to upgrade the network. If we look at the new technologies, like SD-WAN, built in many telco offering, we know how many security concerns we get with the cloud adoption race by telcos in the recent years to cut costs, and how the technology isn't bulletproof. If we look at the timeline, where all these attacks started in telco, we see a potential link to the start of digital transformations. We can assume that if it was only a SS7 protocol issue, we would have seen this trend way before the 2020. We have been discussing the technology aspect, but I can't omit to mention how each telco is the secret keeper of internal company internal networks, about MPLS, multi-protocol label switching. Most of the MPLS are considered private but running on leased lines on shared multi-customers network devices. Most of the telco selling point is to move these highly costly lines to SD-WAN devices. I did an entire episode on MPLS security, you can find it in my YouTube channel. But let's consider how this topic is relevant in terms of supply chain attack, if one of these telcos are compromised and move laterally within a customer premises. I would also like to highlight how classical MPLS are protected only by old layer 3 firewalls, all behind NAT IP, most of the time without VXLAN implemented, to allow proper investigation in case of cybersecurity incidents. If we look at the next future, considering T-Mobile statements about stopping an attack that looks similar to Salt Typhoon, we can witness that this matter isn't finished and it's trying to enlarge, potentially making Christmas a good attack window. Fortunately, these attacks against telco are well known and all providers are for sure in high alarm status with more awareness. Thanks for joining the first episode, dedicated to the telecommunication industry attacks. Follow the channel for more free content. I do spend my best efforts, based on sharing is caring principle. Your support subscribing the YouTube channel is highly appreciated. Stay tuned, more original content on the way. Take care.